All right, everybody, the Understable Podcast. We are back again. This is episode 45 this time. And once again, it is just myself, Mark, with Brandon. We don't have any interviews lined up at the moment because, season's about to kick off. And hopefully we'll get some mid-season, get some cool interviews in for you. But this episode, we are going to talk about tournament prep. What do we do? What things can you guys do to help set yourself up to be successful in tournaments? So, yeah, I'll just go ahead and kick it over to Brandon, and we'll get this kicked off and try and pass some information on to you guys.
All right, guys, what is going on? We, like my co-host said, are going to be talking about tournament prep. We've got a few big talking points we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the game planning, and that can go back as far as a week to 2 weeks before a tournament. We're going to talk about before the round, when you hop out of your car. What do I like to do? What does Mark like to do? And then we're going to talk about what we do between the rounds, adjustments, mentality, going for the win or going for placement, things like that. And then if you guys enjoy this, let us know. We could talk about a little bit about the mental side inside of a tournament, during the round. We'll hold off on a lot of those details. If you guys want to hear about that, let us know. So I'm going to kick it off. And Mark, feel free to jump in at any point here. But yeah, so I have this belief, this very firm belief that I will always stand by, that you cannot perform your best at a tournament when everything's on the line and everything needs to go right. You cannot perform without a game plan. I know there are some people who like to, maybe go in, play things blind, and you've done that before, Mark. You've played tournaments where you've never played the course before, right?
Yeah. And for me, I didn't play the best round, but I played a good round, and I think that was because I played smarter and I didn't take riskier shots. I just kind of played what would work the best in that moment, and then I come back round two and be a little more aggressive. But I
Hmm.
don't recommend it. If you can get a practice round in, get a practice round in, hands down.
Right. So, like, that kind of begs the question. So, say you do that, say you've got your first round and you get, let's be realistic here, okay? Let's say you're playing a wooded course.
Let's just
You
use
get about
Ashimo.
50, Ashmo, you get about 50% of your tee shots right. You're thinking back on your round between your round between rounds. You're on your lunch break, and you're like, ah, man. So next round, I think I'm gonna throw my putter on three, and then when I'm on this hole, I'm gonna throw driver, and then this hole, I'm gonna throw my more stable driver. It's good that you can make those adjustments right there on the fly. However, say you got 50% of those tee shots right the first round and you got 75% of those tee shots right the second round. With the proper game plan, you could have maximized the potential for the correct tee shots right from the get, and you wouldn't have had to spend any mental energy to make it to that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we both witnessed that. Again, we've talked about it how many times. We witnessed that at Fall Color Classic last year in Hastings. Kevin and I sat down, game planned the whole course. This is where I'm going to throw off the tee. This is what my next shot's going to be, and so on and so on. And shot the round of my life up to that point. So, guys, game plans work. Figure out your course, figure out what disc is going to fit the best for the shot you need to throw, and just stick with it. Commit to that disc, commit to that shot. And good things happen when you set up a game plan.
I'm a firm believer that every player has this sort of, you can almost imagine it like in a video game, okay? You've got this health bar in your brain, and that's for like your mental energy. If you take a little bit of that mental energy every time you have to make a stressful putt, you have to think about your tee shot. Anytime you have to use your brain to make a decision or to make a shot happen, I believe that you kind of pull from that mental energy. So then it makes it harder as the day goes on, especially if you make a lead card. the nerves are up. You've spent a lot of mental energy on the day, and that makes the end of your round that much harder, right? You can probably attest from your lead card rounds at Hammond Hill.
Yeah, so I made lead card, and I didn't feel like I used up all my mental energy round one, and I think that's a lot because of the game plan. I knew what I was going to throw. I didn't have to think about it or any of that. So what got me with round two was I think the nerves. Even though I still stuck to my game plan, the wind picked up, so I had to make some changes on the fly. But the nerves got to me, and the excitement of actually making a lead card. First time having that happen, so it's just kind of one of those things where I'm excited. I made lead card. It's awesome, and I just didn't capitalize on the opportunities.
So let me ask you, and I want you to answer this honestly, okay? Don't answer this as the confident golfer. Which I mean, honestly, if you do, um I won't fault you for it. Do you think you could have made lead card without the game plan?
Absolutely not. And one, I've only played Hammond once, so I'm not familiar with the course. But looking at my tournament history, no, I don't think I even had any chance of being lead card at all. So my goal was just to go into the tournament and place in like the top 10 or top 12, or just shoot a good round. And I mean, yeah, I ended up achieving two goals. I guess I shot the 900 rated round, and I shot lead card. So, but no, without a game plan, I don't think there would have been any chance for a lead card or a 900 rated round, because it would have taken stupid shots, it would have taken riskier shots, and I wouldn't have played smart golf. So, and with that, like I have my Google document with every hole, every disc I want to throw on the shot. And when I walked to the tee pad, I pulled up my document and I said, okay, what am I throwing in this hole? What am I throwing in the next hole? And just all the way down, 1 through 18. And I just had that basically on paper, digital paper, I guess, of what I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
throw. I had that reminder, okay, go for this disc instead of that disc. And
I do
now,
the same thing.
yeah, and now my bag is so slimmed down to only, I think I have like 5 different driver molds in my bag, that I walk to a tee pad and I don't even hesitate. Like when I get to the tee pad, I know what disc I'm going to grab. So because of that game plan and seeing the results of what happened, I have really built a lot of confidence in what I currently have set up in my bag. So
Yeah, I really truly think that taking the and another thing is like taking the stress off of what disc you're going to throw when you're on the tee alleviates a lot of the pressure when you're on the tee. You already have so much pressure to hit the perfect angle, hit the perfect speed, perfect spin, perfect line. Why would you want to add more variables to that? So like say you throw your kind of stable mid-range on a little turnover, but then it fades out and then you're like, "Oh man, I should have thrown my mid range that was a little flippier." Well, if you would have already done that work off the field, off the tournament round, then you could have potentially got a birdie there. So that is those little things, those are huge, huge differences. Huge differences. And I
right.
like what you said about the notes because um I do that too. I'll write what disc I'm gonna throw. And sometimes I'll get a little detailed,
I know
yeah,
our,
he's
our
showing,
fans
yeah.
can't see this, but I'm showing Brandon my notes on my phone for the tournament this weekend at Snyder Park. I mean, I haven't played the exact layout, but I've gone through every hole and I have an idea of where things should be at and where basket's going to be at. So I already know like this is the disc I want to pick for this shot. And some holes, I'm going to have this option or this option depending on what the wind's doing, or depending on how well I'm throwing certain discs.
Yeah, I like to add to my notes sometimes, like, okay, I'm gonna if it's a tailwind, so this, or if it's a headwind, then maybe I'll disc up. So I kind of make those notes as well, so I don't have to think about it on the course.
Right.
So so for me, that's a big thing when it comes to game planning. You got any other like game planning tips, like things that you might do beforehand, before the day of the tournament? Anything else you do?
Game plan, not really. I have found that for whatever reason, when I wash my discs before a tournament, for some reason I don't feel like I throw them as well. I don't know if I'm just not getting the grip on them or whatever, but I prefer to have my
Really?
discs being
Okay.
dirty. That's how I play casual rounds. Like I don't wash them between casual rounds. I just go and throw. So keeping things consistent. I don't know if it's a mental thing or if it's just like superstition or whatever, but I just don't like to wash my plastic that often. I might wash it 3 times a year.
See, and I'm glad you said that because now this is where that personal preference comes on because I love to clean up my equipment. I love to have clean discs. I love to clean my bag. I love having a fresh, clean bag. I like going through my bag and be like, oh, I'm taking out all my winter stuff, putting in my summer stuff. I love being organized and clean. Not saying you're not organized and clean, but yeah, that comes down to that personal preference. And I think that's a great point that you made there. Um,
Well, and the other thing with that is I don't keep my discs with like caked on mud. I clean them off at the course. I'll wipe the dirt off, so they're just gonna have like a little bit of dirt on them here and there, but it's not like caked on. It's not gonna affect the flight at all. It's just I'm not gonna sit at home and scrub them before a tournament. I
exactly.
don't see a point in doing that because they're gonna go out and get dirty again.
Right.
But
I mean, that's fine. But I like cleaning mine because I feel like they give me a better grip. So it's like this personal comfort. Find that comfort, whatever works for you, and lean into it. Let it be a part of your routine. Let it be a part of your game plan. Like, okay, tournament's coming up. So like for me, I'm like, all right, tournament tomorrow. Wash the discs, wash the bag, all that stuff.
yeah, yeah, and like I said, it's all personal preference. I do want to touch on the how we both have kind of talked about like not having too many options in the bag, and I want to give a throwback to the Johnny McRae episode. Johnny McRae talked about he only has what was it 3 different drivers in his bag, but like 6 different Saint Pros or whatever.
Yeah,
I have found, and this goes into more of the confidence side of the bag and of playing tournaments. I have found that when I minimize the molds, I minimize the mistakes. I bag 3 mid ranges. I bag 2 high speed drivers. I have 3 different fairways, and then my putters. But I know exactly what my discs are going to do when I throw them flat. When I put them on an Anheuser, when I put them on a hyzer, I know what my stuff's going to do. And that confidence can not outweigh a game plan or a proper game plan, but it can absolutely boost that game plan.
I agree. I think that's a great point you make there.
I have a lot of friends down here. Not a lot. Okay, I'm sorry. I have a few friends down here. Not a lot. But they like
But you
to
know what, guys? Yeah, but I don't have any friends.
but they like to have a disc for every shot. And I was that way when I first started playing. I had to have this trilogy disc and this trilogy disc and this trilogy disc, and I had to have like too many options, too many discs in my bag. And when I started slimming things down is when I started seeing the big improvement.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
again, it comes down to minimizing the options. So I walk up to a 350-foot hole that's kind of open. I automatically don't even think about it. I just grab my flippy D1. I don't even think about anything else. Just grab the D1 and I hit it. So
So I want to talk about another thing that I like to do in the game planning side of this. So like before the day of, I want to talk about something that I like to do, something that helps me out. I'm the kind of guy who likes to get a lot of sleep. I wish I was a morning person. I mean, I can get up for a tournament, but I can always sleep another hour. Always. It doesn't matter. So because I know I'm that way, I'm that guy, I'm the way I hate to be. I like to do a lot of my prep work the night or a couple nights before. So I will go through the bag, I'll pull out all the discs that I'm not going to throw at the tournament. And I also like to, and I like to clean my stuff like we talked about. I also like to prepare everything that I'm going to bring. So, like, I will pick out my clothes the day before or 2 days before. I'll bring extra clothes. Like, I'm checking the weather. Do I need my umbrella? Do I need extra towels? Super, super important stuff. I'll take backups of discs that I like in case I lose one during the rounds. Oh, man, I lost my flippy mace. Well, I've been throwing maces for like 6 years. I have more flippy ones. I hold on to them. So like I'll bring a couple of those. Not like everything. It depends on the course, but
Right.
I'll bring backups. And then this is this is a big one. I'm kind of being frugal in this day and age. I pack my own lunch. So I'm trying to save money and I'm packing items that I think are healthy. I don't like to go get nasty, well, not nasty. They're delicious, like greasy fries and like, I don't eat burgers really anymore, but like back when I did, maybe a burger, something. I don't like to eat those things that are going to slow me down. So for me personally, like I'll make a sandwich, chips, I'll get a vitamin water, a granola bar, and then I'll hit my caffeine. I'll do a cup of coffee in the morning, and then for me, in between rounds, I like to grab a pop or something, maybe a Mountain Dew, but nothing, no energy drinks. But that's me personally. I know people are different. What about you? What do you like to do like day or two before?
So I don't do a lot 2 days before the tournament. Most of my prep, and a lot of this is because of my schedule with me being off Fridays. I have all day Friday to prep. So I'd kind of do the same thing. I figure out what I'm going to need for the day. I pack that. I get my cart cleaned up at least. Make sure I have all my necessities. I'll have my rangefinder. I'll have my umbrella. I'll have extra towels. I'll have extra discs. I'll have all the things I'm gonna need on the course. Because if I lose my flippy D1, it's almost kind of game over on the tee box. It changes a lot of things for me. So that's a necessity. I will always have an extra D1 in my bag that's 164 or less. Always.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, like you, I try and pack food and there's two reasons I like to pack a lunch. One, I don't have to leave, and Ostrimo as well as I do. Parking there is kind of limited. You could end up walking half a mile just to get to hole one.
Hmm.
So I pack a lunch for that, and it's healthier. But also, I don't have to worry about being pressed for time to go to Wendy's or Subway or McDonald's and get food, and then have that heavy food sit in your stomach all afternoon. It's just not good. So not being pressed for time is huge because now you can take 25, 30 minutes to sit back and relax, maybe change your socks out, change a couple things, make your mental adjustments. But then you can go back out on the course and spend the next 30 minutes getting warmed up for round two. Go out and work on some putts. Go to those holes that you struggled with in round one and rethrow them and try and re-strategize how you play. So it's like, yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, the most coming up in what, 3 weeks?
Two,
Two
right?
weeks, yeah, 2 weeks. March 4th.
2 weeks from the time of this recording.
March
We don't know when
4th.
we're putting it out, but either way.
Well, I'll be staying at our buddy Kevin's house because
Mm-hmm.
he's always gracious and opens his door to me. So I'll be staying at his house, and Friday night we'll do a practice round. We'll go out and get some food. Then when we get back to his house, we pretty much get everything ready and put it in his car. Next morning, get up, get dressed, get some breakfast, get to the course, check in, and go warm up. So not a lot of difference from what you do. It sounds like overall. Again,
Right.
I skip washing discs because I just talked about that. I feel like I don't have as good of grip right off the bat. So, but that's personal opinion.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next big thing. I think we talked enough and got a lot of really good points about what we do for our game plan. Let's talk about day of the tournament before the round. So we got a couple more things to talk about. I think these will be things that are a little bit shorter. Let's start with you, Mark. What do you like to do before the round? So the first thing you do, you pull into the parking lot, you get your spot. What's next?
Well, I usually like to be extra early to tournaments just because if anything happens on the way there, I have a little bit of a buffer zone. So I'm always, not, I can't say always, I'm usually at least an hour and a half or earlier getting to my tournaments. So I might sit in my car for 20 minutes and just kind of open the windows, let some fresh air hit me or something. But once I get out of the car, it's get my disc shoes on, get my cart out, get everything together. And if they have a check-in, I'll go check in. If it's online check-in like a lot of tournaments are now with PDJ live scoring and everything, I will just go out and start. I'll stretch out, get loosened up. And I think you told me a year and a half ago or so to start with 15-foot putts, 10 or 15 footers. Just hit like 4 or 5 of them in a row. Just to kind of get the routine, get the blood flowing, get the rhythm, and then kind of work on some ranged putts and go from there. So that's why I try and start doing this. Hit the practice basket, try and loosen up with that. and then I'll figure out what starting hole I'm on, and I'll kind of make my way back in that direction. I'll play some holes, loosen up, um, and just kind of get warmed up and ready to go. So when tee off comes, got the good vibes going, and I'm ready to play. What about you?
All right. Yeah, so I got lots of similar things. One thing that I like to do that's a little bit different, uh, I like to get hyped up on some music. So this is more of a as I'm on my way in or whatever. I like to jam out. I'm a huge metalhead. So I'll throw down some metal while I'm on my way. Something that's gonna really get me going. Something that's just gonna and it's me personally, some people they want to they like to listen to rap. Some people don't want to listen to anything. Some people want to listen to
Podcasts such
something
as this.
a podcast such as this. Thank you, Mark. But that's something I like to do. I like to get hyped up on something really, really heavy. So like finding a way to kind of, hype yourself up a little bit. I think that's really, really, I think that's something that more people should do is, find something to get your blood flowing and get you feeling good. So that's one big thing that I like to do. Um, and then, yeah, like you said, so we'll see if we've got to go check in. We'll grab discs. I never bag the players pack discs. So first thing I do before I even get my bag out of the car, before I start lugging around my heavy bag, I go get the players pack. I check in, and then I throw the players pack in my trunk. And then I switch my shoes, make sure I got all the right clothes. I grab my bag. I grab this, that, all of that good stuff. Um, that's how I start.
Oh
And
yeah, I
then
forgot about that. Yeah, when I'm up in
yeah,
up in your area, they do players packs beforehand. Down here, for whatever reason, they like to do your players pack after you complete your first round. I'm like, what does it matter? I'm here. I checked in. I paid for the players pack. Just let me get it at the beginning.
this is
So
incredibly strange. I have
it's
never
in
heard of that.
strange, and I don't like the way Dayton Disc Golf does things. But I'm still gonna play some of their tournaments. But
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever.
So then, yeah, when it comes to, so for me, I like to do, obviously, I like to stretch. Stretching is a really important thing. I go do some stretches. I do like the Goku thing where I'm like doing groin stretches and stretching out the shoulders and the chest because those are, I'm going to really, really lean on those out throughout the day. Hips. So I like to do some stretching. That's one of the first things I do before I start throwing. And then I like to I'll drive a little bit. I like to hit the shorter holes. I like to hit the holes that I'm not 100% confident with in my game plan. So you go out and do your game plan round. Say there's two or three holes that you're like, I'll play that one the morning of. Then I'll go hit that one the morning of, and then kind of decide what to do with it there. Because I do have that sometimes. Like I'll have my game plan. Like there's one or two holes I'm not so sure about, even after the game plan.
Yep.
So then I try my best to warm up all the shots. You got to get the sidearms in. You got to get those backhands in. Try to throw, depending on the course, you can't always get every single shot in. But sidearm and backhand is really important to get a lot of sidearms in.
So let me ask you
Because of my
something.
opinion.
Let me ask you
Yeah,
something real
yeah, yeah.
quick. When you're doing your warm up before, so you're all stretched out, you got your bag, you're ready to go out and start your warm up. Do you just go straight to the course and just throw shots, or do you go out, if there's a field available, do you throw in a field first?
If there's a field, I'll throw in a field first.
Okay.
I'll go for a field
Because
first because then I don't have to like spend the energy hitting lines. I just get a feel for how
correct.
I'm throwing right there and then.
Yeah, one of the things I like to do if I'm able to is, like I said, hit the putting green, putt for a little bit, and if there's a field available, I'll try and get out in the field, and I'll literally start with my putters. I will throw all my putters, nice, easy, soft, maybe 50, 60% power, and I'll work my way up to my drivers just to continue to loosen up that shoulder and the arm and get everything kind of flowing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. When we have Brewer League, there's a wide open field there, so I'll hit the field before the round every single time. Then you get a good gauge for the wind as well.
True.
So yeah, I like to if there's a field, I'll hit it. Otherwise, I like what you do there, and I try to do it when I can. Start with some putters, work your way up. I know everyone that is the most ideal way to do it. But for
Yeah,
me,
because
just hitting those shots that I'm not confident in, that's the most important thing. Um, And then once I'm kind of feeling that or getting a feel for how I'm throwing that day, because there's kind of an ebb and flow to disc golf, I kind of think, especially on the amateur side. Some days your sidearm is you're smashing 300-foot sidearms, and then the next day you're like, why can't I throw a sidearm hyzer? So I get a gauge for how my game is that day when it comes to like the tee shots and the up shots and all that stuff. And then I like to move on to the putting. I like to do most of my putting right before the round starts. So I'll try to get that 15, 20 minutes of putting in. Even, that's that 15, 20 mark. That's kind of when I start my putting. And then I like to putt close, like we talked about. I like to practice making putts. I don't like to practice missing putts. Yeah, you should get out there and you should, practice a couple step putts, a few long ones. For the most part, you should practice making putts, right?
Well, yeah, that also boosts your confidence in your putting too, because if you're sitting there, practicing your putting and trying to hit 25 footers and you keep missing, you miss 3 out of 4. That doesn't set your mindset up to be, confident in during the round. Hit those 10, 15 footers. Maybe move back, like Brandon said, hit a handful of 25 footers, do some 40-foot step putts or jump putts, whatever it is you prefer. But focus on inside 20 feet, at least when you're warming up. But you definitely want to practice a handful of 20 footers because those are ones, like 20 footers are key. 20 to 25. You want to win tournaments, you got to hit them 25s. Got to.
Yep. That's the money zone right there, that 20
Now,
to 25 range.
Yeah, now, I did say I'll putt when I get there and I'm loosening up. That's just for me to kind of get the blood flowing, kind of just start that wake up process because I'm usually not awake right away. But yeah, like you, I'll take the last 10 minutes before the round starts, and I'll go to a basket and putt by my starting hole. So I do get that repetition right before I tee off, and that does help. So, all right, round 1 is done. We already talked about packing a lunch, resting a little bit, changing some things up if you need to change. What else do you do during the lunch break at a tournament?
So first and foremost, as I'm getting older, I'm 32 now. I'm really enjoying not going out, just like you said, not leaving the course and kind of cutting your time short. I'm really enjoying sitting down, letting my body take a little bit of a break, letting myself process the feelings attached to that round 1, because that's important too, is to sit there and be like, okay, that was awful. Okay, let's say the round was awful, right? It's in the past now. You can't change it. It was awful. I like to give myself time to accept the fact that it was awful. And then when the next round starts, I have a fresh mindset, a new mentality, and I can attack the course again. I believe it was South Kent County Open. We were playing Brewer Golds, so the long version of the course. I believe I was in like 13th place or something like that. And we talked about this on a previous podcast, but it was awful. It was so bad. And they were only giving out 3 berths for my division.
Hey, so
And
was it worse than our Facebook Live round from the shorts?
no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Oh, wait, was it? Was it worse? No, definitely not. That one was way
mean,
worse.
Sorry to keep rubbing salt in the wound of an AM3 guy beating you, but I mean,
That's
I'm
okay.
proud of that. So,
well, remember how the rematch went? You want to tell everybody how that went?
I think they already know. We covered that a couple times.
Oh yeah, I think you lost by double digits, didn't you?
Yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, yeah.
But even then, going back to like fall color, I mean, I think 2 strokes behind your score.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I mean, just confidence game plan. Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry to derail the episode with some, history. But...
Yeah, with all your smack talk. Come on. That's not what the people are here for. They're here to be educated. Just kidding. Anyway. So yeah, that round I was in like 13th place or something crazy. It was so bad. It was really bad. And especially during the round, it's incredibly stressful. But I spent a lot of time at lunch just sitting and processing my feelings about it. And when I gave myself that time to kind of, swallow that bitter pill, basically, I got out there with a new mentality and I was like, I can only go up from here. Okay, it takes a lot, I feel like, to have a round like that and then stand up and puff out your chest and be like, I can only go up from here, you know? And you don't have to play dumb. Just go with your game plan again. You've probably taken yourself out of contention for the win. I definitely did.
Mm-hmm.
However, I just said I'm going to stick to the game plan and I'm just going to be better. That's it. Bottom line, I'm going to be better. And I
Yeah.
ended up getting third place and getting my berth for the state championships.
Yeah. And what a roller coaster that was too, like we talked about. That was crazy.
Exactly.
But see,
So really, it just,
one of the biggest things I'm working on, like not just in between rounds, but just tournament in general, is we interviewed GT Hancock recently, and one of the things that he said was you got 10 steps to analyze the last shot. You throw a bad shot, you got 10 steps. That's it. So for me, I struggle very hard with not getting wrapped up in the bad shot or the negative side of a good shot. Like, oh, I missed my line even though I'm 10 feet from the basket. I still missed my line. Well, if I'd hit my line, maybe I would have been 30 feet from the basket. So I need, like, for me personally, I need to stop thinking about missing the line or hitting the tree or the negative side and be like, oh, I just threw a great shot. Even if I land 20 feet from the basket, there's still a good shot. For me, it's thinking the positive side of the game. And when I do throw bad shots, I got 10 steps to forget about it. Think on the next shot. What's next?
exactly.
And that's another huge thing. Like the mental game when it comes to tournaments, like I already know I'm going to be called a bagger this year because I'm playing AM4 until my rating goes up. I don't care what people say because I'm playing my rating and I know that my mental game is not there. So to develop that, to build confidence in my mental game on the course, I'm going to play where I'm supposed to play. There's nothing wrong with that.
You need to walk into a course and imagine that you have a theme song for yourself playing and you're doing like this slow mo kind of like walk in. You got your bag and they're playing some AC/DC in the background. There's a huge explosion because you have arrived. That's the mentality you got to take when you walk into the course.
Okay. I'm thinking more Undertaker-ish, but sure.
Yeah, dude, like the Undertaker, bro.
I
Well, no,
mean,
think more like Stone Cold Steve Austin, bro. That's the
Stone Cold
mentality.
or John Cena, yeah.
Yeah, that's the mentality you got to take in there. Yes, that's what you got to do.
But
And
Undertaker comes out, everybody's afraid of him because he's so good. I mean, not
that's
many people can
true.
beat him, but he was
That's
silent. He was like not humble about it, but he wasn't like flashy like Stone Cold. But no, I get what you're saying.
well, sometimes you got to run your mouth. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'm good at that.
Sometimes.
I'm real good at
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, you are good at that. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the other side of this too, between the rounds. So I'm eating my tasty lunch. It's healthy. I'm never worried about how my stomach's gonna feel between rounds because I pack a good lunch. I don't go out and I don't get Wendy's or McDonald's or whatever. I don't do that. I don't get pizza. I have a nice healthy lunch every single time, and I saved money doing it. So I'm not worried about that. I'm getting my caffeine uptake a little bit, get myself, a little more awake for the round. And then let's talk about like the other side of it. When you shoot a good round, this happens sometimes too. You'll shoot a really good round and you can't believe you made lead card. Well, you got to do the same thing here. You got to sit down and you need to process those emotions. Take some time to pat yourself on the back. Say you can't believe it. You're so nervous, and then it's time to shove those feelings aside because you still got work to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've talked about it. And how long at fall card did I talk about? Man, I'm on the lead card. Man, I shot 9-17. I went on and on and on for like 20 minutes. I was on that high. I just shot my best round ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those emotions is kind of what got me in round two. I could not putt to save my life. I don't know if I just was on the emotions of being lead card or if it was the nerves of being lead card, but I think if I would have just slowed everything down again during that break and just completely reset, okay, still have work to do. Let's go execute round two. I think I would have finished probably top five. So I think I was only 2 or 3 strokes off the lead. If
Yep.
I remember, I
Yeah.
wasn't far off being in first, and yeah, the emotions, and again, that's first time being in that situation. So obviously the emotions are going to be there, and the nerves are going to be there. But Um, yeah, you just got to learn how to control those better.
Yeah, and I can't say I haven't, had those same things before. I've had rounds, especially when I first started, where I'm like, oh, I made the lead card. And then I just kind of not the same thing because, I'm feeling those nerves of trying to replicate that last round. There's a lot that goes into what's happening during a round in the lead card. And we'll talk about that in a podcast where we talk about in-round stuff. I think having an episode about in-round mentality would be a good one for people because I feel like mine's better than ever, and my rating has been going up and reflecting that. Um, so yeah, I think when you're in between rounds, it's really important to either, if you had a bad round, elevate yourself, motivate yourself, talk yourself up, um, lift yourself, find a way to claw out of the hole that you've made. It doesn't always work. Sometimes, you just have a bad tournament, but it's up to you because nobody's gonna give you the strokes. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna say you're never gonna just get the strokes. You gotta splash out. You got a birdie putt and it splashes out. Nobody's giving you that birdie. So
Right. See, and that's
elevate
one thing.
yourself.
I always find myself doing that, where a putt will hit chains, hit the pole, hit the cage, and fall out of the basket. And I'm like, man, that should have gone in. That's terrible. And I never should have missed that putt 15 feet out. But at the end of the day, it's like, I missed the putt. Stop blaming the inanimate object for not catching my disc when I probably could have putt better. I probably missed a spot, or I hit too high, too low. Even if I made a good putt. Bad breaks happen. Look at, who was it? It wasn't Corey Ellis, nothing, but last year, a guy whose putter literally fell at the bottom of the basket. Came to rest in the basket and just fell out.
That was Corey.
Yeah, and he was
Corey
just like, well, I just tap in and go on.
Yeah, yeah.
But that goes to, I think I've talked to you about it. Maybe I don't know if I did a podcast about it, but that's one of the reasons why I think the Disc Golf Pro Tour needs to have their own basket design for all their events. DGPT baskets, they can still put stickers on for the manufacturers, whatever, for the tournament sponsors, but I think DGPT needs to have their own standardized baskets.
Yeah, that, or pick a basket, whatever basket it is you think is the best basket, whether that be a disc catcher or a
But you can't do that because when you have events sponsored by Dynamic Disc or sponsored by Discraft, you can't be running black holes or Innova disc catchers at a Dynamic Disc or tournament. Right. If you take the manufacturer out and make DGPT baskets, you can collaborate with the different manufacturers to design something, but it needs to not have a Discraft basket, a veteran, Dynamic Veteran or a Prodigy or it can't be tied to a manufacturer. It needs to be Disc Golf Pro Tour standard baskets.
Yeah,
I think we've discussed that on the podcast before, actually.
Well, yeah, and if we haven't, we can do a whole episode about what we think the DGPT should be doing. But
correct.
I think we kind of hit a lot of our big talking points here for this episode. Yeah. What do you think?
I would agree. So we just had a ratings update, and I know you haven't played any events since last fall. I think
since
fall
October.
Color. Yeah, fall color was it. So you're still sitting at 927.
Yep.
I went up 5 points to 833.
You did?
Yeah,
all right, let's go.
I'm pretty happy with that. So,
and you're gonna go up even farther once you get your ratings in for this this oh my gosh demo that we're gonna be playing.
Yep. So, yeah, like I said before, I've got high hopes and high goals for this year, and I think the confidence is there with the bag overall, and I'm hoping to shoot multiple 900 rated rounds, maybe even a 900 rated tournament. That'd be great.
Easy money for you, buddy.
So, cool, man. Well,
cool.
I think that's what we got. So, until next time, guys, keep it in the fairway.